let us take some more applications of this hyperconjugation. Addition of HX2 alkenes, either in the Markovnikov rule or anti-Markovnikov rule. If you take alkene, add HCl, you are going to get the two products, 1-chloro as well as the 2-chloro. As we have seen already, the 2-chloro will be the major one, which can be better explained. The addition of H plus is the first attacking species, so therefore H plus will have a chance of attacking, giving the, if H goes to the terminal, you get a 1 degree carbon cation, or if H goes to the terminal, you will get a 2 degree carbocation. As we have seen, the 1 degree has 1 plus I effect, here 2 plus I effects are there, 2 degree has 2 plus I effect. Therefore, the major stable one gives the major one, but to what extent you cannot explain based on the inductive effect. At the most 1:2 ratio you can calculate, which is not found to be correct also, because 1 alkyl 2 alkyl may be the guessing work. But instead you apply the hyperconjugation. Here there are two hyperconjugations are there. Here it is 6 hyperconjugations. So this will be the better guessing, because 2:6 ratio as 1:3 ratio, 25% and 75% happens to be the most that is coinciding the answer with the practical answer. It is not the explanation of the just the Markovnikov rule through this stability influenced by the hyperconjugable hydrogens, but where the inductive effect fails also. Sometimes, for example, if a 2-pentene is taken, added HCl. According to the Markovnikov rule, the H adds where number of hydrogens, that is X minus adds where number of hydrogens less, because in this case it is not a symmetric one, it is an unsymmetric one, but the number of hydrogens are same. So therefore, whether to get the 2-chloropentane or the 3-chloropentane is a difficulty to identify, because the Markovnikov rule fails here. The number of hydrogens happens to be same this side that side, so Markovnikov rule you cannot apply. But the concept of the at least inductive effect, if you want to apply also, both one has got 1 inductive effect, therefore you cannot apply. But the intermediate concept based on the hyperconjugation you can apply. In this case, if the hydrogen is added, you get carbocation here has got the 3 hyperconjugations, right? That side 2. So totally 2 plus 3, that is 5 hyperconjugations are there. That side 2, this side 3, 5 So here the hydrogen is added on the second carbon, leaving the carbocation on the third one, which has 2 plus 2, so 4 hyperconjugations. 2 plus 2, 4. So here 5 hyperconjugations. So therefore, always the hydrogen goes to the third carbon, so that both are 2 degree only, but that is 2 pentyl carbocation has 5 hyperconjugation. Therefore, hydrogen will add that side, chlorine will add on the 2. So therefore, the 2-chloro will be the major one. This is what you can derive from the hyperconjugable hydrogen. That means hyperconjugation is able to decide where Markovnikov rule fails, where the application of inductive effect, that is 2 inductive effect, there also 2 inductive effect. Therefore, you cannot decide the stability of the carbocation, but stability of the carbocation using the number of hyperconjugable hydrogens will result in this type. Similarly, some examples, like for example, if a benzene is attached one side, the hyperconjugation versus the mesomeric effect, if you take, however, mesomeric effect is dominating over the hyperconjugation, which also can be exemplified here by taking this particular example. If HCl is added, H plus will be the attacking species. So you can get an intermediate like this. a carbocation on this carbon and the H is added on that carbon. This may be the one intermediate. The other one is H is added this side. H is added this side, that means CH and CH with the carbocation. This is another intermediate. Now, which will have the more hyperconjugations, means in fact that has 3 plus 2, 5 hyperconjugation. This has only 2 hyperconjugation. But in this particular case, this one has got the plus mesomeric effect. So, the other one has no mesomeric effect. Hyperconjugations are 5 and 2. According to that, hyperconjugations are more here. 2 plus I effects are there. 1 plus 1 minus I effect. So, inductive effect also says that is more stable. Hyperconjugation, that is more stable. But mesomeric effect says this is more stable. According to the plus M, this is more stable. But whereas inductive effect and hyperconjugation says that is more stable. But practically the mesomeric effect is a dominating phenomena over the hyperconjugation. Hyperconjugation dominates over inductive effect, no doubt. But hyperconjugation and mesomeric effect as contradicting each other, we have to consider the resonance or mesomeric effect, which is dominating. So, therefore, corresponding this intermediate, that is phenyl with the chlorine this side and the hydrogen that side, will be the major answer. This will be the major one. That shows that mesomeric effect is dominating, though hyperconjugation is very strong effect and all that, but in this particular, when mesomeric effect is contradicting, mesomeric effect will be the upper hand over the hyperconjugation.